Olá, bem-vindos ao podcast A Menina, Criança e Sua Longa Caminhada. Hoje conversaremos sobre a sessão O Que Está Acontecendo Aqui, sob o título A Boa Notícia da Imago Dei, do capítulo 3, nas páginas 124 a 152 do nosso e-book. Eu sou Maria Lígia Conte. Minha convidada especial de hoje é a Gloria Acqua, de Gana. A conversa de hoje será em inglês, que é o idioma da Glória. A tradução estará disponível no Spotify e no nosso site. Welcome to the podcast, The Girl Child and Her Long Walk. Today, we will talk about the section, What's Going On Here, under the title, The Good News of the Imago Dei, from chapter 3, pages 124 to 152 in our ebook. I am Maria Lígia Conte, and my special guest today is Gloria Acqua from Ghana. Our podcast is in Portuguese, but today because we have this special guest from Ghana, we are speaking English. There might be flaws in my pronunciation and choice of words, and I ask you for your forgiveness for that. It's not my first language. The translation to Portuguese will be available on Spotify and our site. So let's welcome Gloria. Hello, Gloria. I'm very happy to have you with us today.
I'm happy to be here too.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. So my name is Gloria Acqua. I live in Ghana, and I'm the executive director for an NGO called Dignities Plus Foundation, and we work with teenage girls and deprived communities. And we've been successful at organizing the girls in schools because it's easier when you have access to them in their schools, because they'll be coming when school is in session, and that has really brought us a lot of success, because once we get clearance from the school, especially from the administrative section of the school, that we would want you to work with the girls, then we start working with them, and it's been an eye-opener working with some of these girls. You can live in a bubble and think that everybody's life is probably like how you are or how you had it growing up. But for some of these girls, they've had to go through a lot of challenges growing up, and just the idea of girlhood, going through that stage can be very, very tough and difficult. And a lot of nuances that they would have to navigate before they become young women, and even to grown up older women. So there's a lot of stuff going on with them. You might not have any clue to it and think that, they're growing up, as every girl is doing. But no, if you have to grow up in a deprived community, or if you have some difficulty, especially because you're a girl, and this is more in relation to you being a girl or female. If you've ever had to push through some of these challenges, you can identify with these girls in some way, to know that growing up is a tough thing for them.
Thank you. Two things I want to ask about this. You say you're going to school, but it's not school hours. It's after hours?
No. Yes. So usually in the schools, they have some hours slated for extracurricular activities, and we make use of those times. So they have their lessons, all right, and then after a while, sometimes they even have breaks in between. So that they have lunch breaks, sometimes they even have sports breaks. So we usually have our sessions with them during the extracurricular activity time in the school.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you go through, the conversations you go through, they don't involve religion, or they also involve religion?
It does. I think for us, and I'm sure in most African countries, like religion is like a very vital aspect of our culture and our society. As I said, Africans are mostly religious in some way, and depending on the group that you belong to. So it does come up a lot in our conversations, and they come from varied religious backgrounds. Some are Muslims, some are Christians, some don't go to church because their parents don't. Some have found themselves, being involved in traditionalism, what we call African traditional religion, because that's what their parents practice. So they come from varied backgrounds.
But you feel free to talk about this aspects of spirituality and things like this.
Oh yes, I think there's some level of and a very good level of religious tolerance here. Yes, in Ghana. So yeah, the girls, they are free to express themselves. There's been times that we've there's a right age for a girl to get married. And sometimes it comes up, and then when you see the Muslim girls expressing themselves and saying, yes, there might be the right age for girls to be married, but for us, as Muslim girls, it comes quite early. And sometimes if your parents have already, settled a deal with the suitor, when it's time, the shooter is coming for you. And they take their time to explain to us. It's not for you Christians that it's like you have to grow up and then maybe you choose the partner you want, and then you would want to have a wedding in a church. They said no. For us, the dynamics could be different. Even though now it's much better. I think most of the Muslim parents would also like their girl child to have some good level of education. So now they allow the girls to go to school, some finish uni, depending on their level of intelligence and, the ability to learn. Depending on that, they can allow the children to go finish their education, some earn a degree, a master's, and then if you want to get married. So it has changed. It's like we've come a long way. Initially it was different, but now it looks like we've come a long way.
So I think this is great. I used to think that it's great. Your work is great. It's very good that you have a chance to go in the schools. I used to think that we had a high level of tolerance, religious tolerance in the country, because Brazil is essentially a Christian country. We see very few Muslims. Like me, in my life here, I know 2 families that are Muslims, and they have recently arrived in Brazil. So I don't know. I don't have. It's not that I don't have relationships with Muslims. I don't see them in my neighborhood, in schools, and we don't have many. And as we have been, the country has been Catholic since its discovery. Now we don't use the I think school still uses the word discovery, but many people are saying invasion. So since the invasion of the Portuguese in the country, we have been Catholics. But lately, there is a huge number of evangelical people. And they are very conservative, I personally, I have found difficulty in entering some places talking about, I don't have one religion, so I wouldn't bring my religion to anybody. What I bring to people, what I want to bring to people is discussion, talk about it, see what is really how we feel and things like this, discussing. And I've found difficulty in going to many places. Actually, I've been invited out recently from one place that I was working with women, and they asked me to leave, not to return, because I brought this conversation about spirituality, and they are evangelical, and they didn't feel comfortable. I respected that, and I had to leave. And now I'm working with a new group. There are evangelicals also there, but now I've learned the lesson, so I'm being very, very careful with what I say and how I question them. But schools, I've taken my dolls because I make dolls, and I call my teacher is an American teacher, Barb Gold, and she works with healing dolls. Now, this is a word that is we have to be very careful with this word in many places, healing, because there are a lot of charlatans working with healing. And then you say you have healing dolls. It's kind of, and among the evangelicals also, you say healing dolls, So I'm bringing these dolls to this community that I'm working with now. And I'm always telling them it's not about religion, it's not about the spirits, it's about you and psychology and things like this.
Okay.
But it's not something easy it hasn't been easy for me to come to come to these communities to talk. In school, I was going to say about school. I took once a project. The school invited me to bring a project to work with dolls with the students. So what I went there to do was dolls. And I was telling them about the healing dolls and how we talk to dolls. And then I explained to them, I was very clear. I thought I was being very clear. I said, we don't talk to dolls, and the dolls don't talk to us. They represent something, and it's ourselves, blah, 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 all these things. And two of the students, we had a break between the making of the dolls. Two of the students didn't return. And then one teacher, the teacher that was responsible, she came to me and called me on the side and said, you need to be careful with what you're saying, because these two boys, they went to the director's room and said, you're giving voodoo classes.
Oh.
Good Lord, And they are evangelical, these two boys. They felt uncomfortable, and they didn't tell me. They went to the director and said that. So yes, we're walking on eggshells here, like doing the work. So I'm so very glad that you can do it freely like this, like you're saying you're doing, with people from different backgrounds. This is very important. It's very, very important. What age are the girls that you gather?
So they're usually between the age of 9 and 18.
9 and 18.
Yes.
And you said there are arranged marriages. What ages would that be?
No, these girls are maybe between the ages of maybe 15 and 18. 15 and 18. But it's even much better now, I must say. So for most of them, they're able to speak for themselves. But previously, in Muslim communities, girls, you couldn't speak for yourself. You don't have a voice. If your parents say you're going, then you're going. But now things are way better. They can speak for themselves, and also the parents are more exposed and enlightened, and they would want their girls to have some good education. So that whole what do you call it, idea of arranging marriages is really, really gone down. It's it's gone down drastically, like really, really drastically.
That's very good. Here is very high. Here
it's high.
Very high. By law, they can't get married at a young age before 18 without the consent of the parents. The thing is that parents give consent. And so legally, with the consent of the parents would be, I think, 16, if I'm not mistaken. The age would be 16. But there is a huge number of child marriage in Brazil, which is something new to me also. I didn't know, because I live in the state of São Paulo, that is a very progressive state in the southern east side. And it happens here also, but it's not something like it's a scandal, like we see so much. But then when we hear about the north and northeast, that are poorer areas and more distant, the number is very high. Prostitution, child prostitution, traffic, human traffic, all these things happen in the country, but on this side, north and northeast, is higher. The number is higher, and the number is huge. Yeah. And well, so this is how things are here. And going to our the topic of our conversation today, Imago Dei. And I would like, you have a religious background, right? Your husband is a pastor. Can you tell us a little bit about this, please?
Okay, so both my husband and I, we pastor a church here in Ghana. And it's an interdenominational church. So it's not a particular denomination, but it's a blend, because the people come from different Christian backgrounds. So you can have some who are Pentecostal, some who are charismatic, some who are Orthodox, and we're all together, yes. So that's and we've been pastoring for, let me say 6 years now, because we started in 2018, I guess. Yeah, so 6, going on to 7. And it's been a great experience. It's been fulfilling, it's been challenging, but we are just enjoying ourselves. And it's a community of believers, people who genuinely love the Lord. Like most of the people, of course, you can't always see into everyone's heart, but majority of the people are people who love the Lord. They're very open and genuine in their worship of Him. So this has been our story, and we're loving it.
That's great. I didn't know you were a pastor, T. I thought I knew your husband was, but well, it's very nice. So my question is almost answered now. So your church sees a woman, the female, as image of God also.
Yes, and I'm not the only female pastor. There are 3 others. 3 others also.
So your church accepts women as equal, men and women both. Yeah, good.
Scripture says, I think in Genesis 1. So right from the beginning, the Lord needed to establish this. I find it strange that I think this whole thing is man's orchestration, where it feels like someone isn't not necessarily in the image, but it's not up to a certain level. Because I know that if you're Christian, you believe that we were all created by God. Which means, because you can tell me that you believe the man was created by God, but the woman was not. Then who created the woman? So we all believe the man and the woman have been created by God. But somehow, because of the humans, our tendency to tilt some things, towards how we want it. You can have someone saying, okay, a man is more in the image of God, but maybe a woman is less. I find that funny. I mean, that's not scripture. There's nothing in scripture that says. Genesis 1:27 said, and the Lord created them in His image, male and female. I don't know whether that female that means a different thing to some people, but female is female. And this is what Bible says. So it's just man's own orchestration and man's own doing that. We will have in some societies like the male, you see, and scripture also talks about the head. Now, the thing about the head here, I think that's where the confusion comes, that if I'm the head, it means I'm better than the person who is under me. But that's even in our workplaces, that never happens, because you could be the manager today, but amongst your colleagues will be someone who will succeed you. No, let's take it like just today. If the manager passes away, there's another colleague who might be down there who can easily be used to replace you. So you're equal, just that there's someone at the head who directs affairs. And every society needs that. If there's no head, there's confusion. If that structure doesn't exist, there's confusion. It's like we are all leaders. So who takes instructions from when nothing much gets done? So I think this idea of Bible saying that man is the head in the home as a structure that helps the home to run smoothly. We can have all of us being heads. So mom and dad, both of us are heads, children too, then the children, what happens to them? Or is it only the children that's under, or the children also are sitting, they all become heads, so we are just a family of heads? No, it doesn't work that way. So this structure God put in place so that our homes can run smoothly. There's an authority. So and also to bring about safety, because once you know where leadership is, you feel safe. If there's any issue, I know where to go, who to talk to, who to report to, who to seek wisdom from. So for me, this is how I interpret scripture. And that was not to say that the woman is less, but man's own machination and work. Most societies managed to have a strong patriarchy where it's like women are almost like possessions, or possession. How you possess, you have property. Women were that thing was diabolical.
Yeah,
was like, and it has really wronged a lot of women in societies. I'm just grateful. I am just grateful, even though it has come with a lot of pain. I'm grateful for the women that fought it till now. Now we can have a better society. And this was not only in Africa. I mean, in Europe, it was recently that women could vote. Like you won't have a say, and you couldn't own a piece of land, So it's not an African problem. It has been a world problem.
Yeah.
Yes, what society has, out of its own wrongdoing, has raised this thing of patriarchy where women are seen as less.
Yeah.
But I must say that, in the Ghanaian society, and I know it happens in some African societies, women have actually been in leadership for a long time. So in Ghana, in the Akan society, women are not less. In fact, you can even have women who are family heads. They are the heads of families. And I know in some tribes in northern Ghana, it's like the chief is a woman, where even the chief in that community must be a woman. So some cultures have upheld women, in the society, in decision making, and women have had a strong say. In most Akan communities, women are the ones who instill chiefs. Like they select the next of kin. So if a chief passes away, is the queen mother in that society who would decide who should be the next chief. So that should tell you the amount of authority that is vested in that woman, and in many other communities. So we have come far. We've come far in this thing, and I know a lot of societies have come on board, but not everybody is on board yet. Yes, but with all the education and the exposure and the knowledge, I think the awareness is being created.
Well, that's great. It's great to hear. I agree with you about the head. I think the head is important, but the context when the Bible was written, men were working, men were making money, men were managing the houses and the businesses. So I think they put men there because of the context of the time. Like today, like you said, today, many women, even married women, married to men, they can run the house. They can be the head of the house. And I think this is perfect. Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm very happy to hear that you see advances, some things good happening. Are you following the news, how things are going in the United States today with Trump administration against women?
A little bit. I think right from the beginning, there's a tuning out that happened to me. I don't know what caused it, but I thought that he was too sensational. And I was wondering how this is for good leadership. I think because of that, somehow I tuned out, because it was like, this man is almost fighting everybody. Now, I was wondering how I'll be able to follow all the things. He's fighting someone every day. If it's not in taxes, is in this, and then it's like, how can one human being be on all of us, our minds every day? That's not right.
Yeah.
Like one human being is on everybody's mind. You wake up and Trump has said this and Trump has said that, and it's done that. For me, I think it's too much. There's a tuning off that has happened to me. It happened naturally. It wasn't intentional, but I see that I'm really not following so much.
Yeah.
And when so let me say when the USAID stuff happened, of course I know I have friends and people that lost their jobs. I've heard some of the reasons for the closure. Some are legit. I don't know if you understand that. Some are, they make sense, some of his reasons, but I thought, okay, so why wouldn't you have looked at that whole structure and then restructure? If you think some things are not going well, look at the advances that they've made and then where the shortfalls are and say, okay, can we restructure this whole thing? But just to close it off, so within a week, I have friends who are even both the man and the woman both work for USAID and are jobless and they have children. And that kind of, I was like,
Yeah.
that's been unreasonable.
Yeah. One thing that I agree with you is Trump is too much to follow him every day. I have been following the war on Gaza for almost 2 years now, over a year and a half. And suddenly things changed. I mean, there was so much about Palestine, and then suddenly the thing is Trump. Like I get my Instagram every day are people, Americans, talking about the problems that he's causing there in the country. But let's not talk about Trump, but about this wave of fundamentalism. I think this is the word. And we've had here in Brazil, previous government was going the same line. Our previous president he called himself Trump's friend. I don't know if Trump even knows him, but he used to say that he was Trump's friend, close friend. And then now we have a new government, but these people are still here. These people are still making a fuss, the same line of thoughts. And they're trying to go back to how things were in the past, like taking all the rights of women, taking away all the rights. Do you feel this in your society that, so forget Trump, do you feel this in your society that somehow or anyhow, like Emily says, the needle is going backwards, or you don't feel that? You feel there is progress there in all the ways?
Yes, I think there's a lot of progress. That's what I see. And for us, for the first time, we have a female vice president now in Ghana. And she was my lecturer in uni. She taught me literature and English, and I think African literature also. Yes. And some other aspects. And she was a very motherly figure, even though she's very highly educated, but she's a professor. But she was very motherly. She would come to class. She would laugh with us. I think I was doing literature in English. Oh no, English. I was doing some aspect because my main course degree was in educational psychology. But because my teaching subject was English, I took some courses from the English department. And she was in the English department. So my husband, who was an English student, so he was fully in that department. And then he talks about times when she'll bake something and bring it to the class and then ask them to just share and she'll be eating. So this is a mother, like she presented herself as a mother to us, an educated woman, a very progressive woman. And you see how she's educated her children. I think even the youngest of them might have her doctorate, and she has 3. The youngest of her children, who are all older, and they all have, I think they've all been married and have their own children, would have a doctorate. So this is a very progressive woman. And we've come far. I see in the Ghanaian culture a lot of women rising up to very prominent. We have a chief justice who is a woman. The previous one was a woman. The one now is a woman. We've had women in very prominent government positions. So I see a lot of progress in our society. Yes, I think we've come far and we're going all the way. Women really have a voice. Women have a strong voice now. Now with her being the vice president, we have a stronger voice.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's so nice to hear. There is a tendency, I think maybe a human tendency that we spread the bad news and the bad things. Even a country, the country itself, usually when, like for example, when Brazilians travel abroad, I hear a lot of Brazilians that travel abroad and they come back home talking about the beauty that they saw outside the country, and then they start complaining about what we have here. I think complaining is good, is one part of development, but only complaining is not good. And there is this thing that when we hear about Africa, the continent, it's like Africa, the continent is one country, and this one country has problems. And then there's Congo, Sudan, northern Ethiopia. There are so many problems now. Mozambique is facing problems, but there are so many other countries that are full steam ahead. Yeah. I think it's beautiful. You and I know Dr. Kofi from PALI, that Pan-African Leadership Institute. Yeah, I would like to mention him. And the courses that we take there, the teachers and also the people that participate, the students, we always talk about, they Africans, always you Africans, always talk about how Africa is growing. And then Dr. Kofi says that we Africans are going to rule the world. I think he means it not to rule like he becomes the chief, like Africa becomes the chief now and the one who's going to oppress, but to raise in glory. I think this is the word that would be the best word. This is very good. I'm very happy to hear about this good news coming from Africa. This is really nice, and I'm happy for Ghana. How many are you? What's the population of Ghana?
So by now, I think we should be about, we were between 25 and 30 million. I don't have the latest, but probably we should be somewhere around maybe 35.
Around 30 million. Around 30 million. Yeah.
There. And even now, I think in Mozambique, they have a female president. Some countries now do have
no, not Mozambique. Mozambique, they have this president that
I think Uganda. Let me check. Yes. Because I know she was sworn in recently. And our vice president was there.
Yeah.
Yes, she went for the swearing in ceremony. And previously in Liberia, we have yes. So Uganda has a female president now.
Good. I heard Liberia. I've read something about Liberia. Yes. They're also facing problems there now with the.
Previously, they had a female president, and when she left office, the other president that have come, the male president, have not been able to fit into her shoes, because Liberia made a lot of progress until, I think the past one was a footballer, and he really did them in. He almost retrogressed the whole nation, and the other guy who took over has been struggling seriously.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. Maybe we should rule the world, the women. Not. I always think like this. I call myself a feminist, but I don't fight. I don't fight men. I fight our position to, for equality. And I think many men, if they devote some attention to their female side, because we all have this mixture of I have a very strong male side, and though I'm a woman, I'm a cis woman, I have this strong side of male side, and men have the female. So if they would pay a little bit attention to their female side, they would become nicer, more gentle, more caring, less of warriors.
I think they tend to focus more on the their male hormones. They let the male hormones drive them so much. Because, during COVID, most of the countries that did very well in managing it had female presidents. And some of the nations that were worse at managing COVID had male presidents. So that speaks a lot.
Yes.
So if you even in our homes, if you have a husband that listens more to his wife, about making decisions from home, and you can tell that the home thrives. But when you have the one that is thinking that, look, I'm the head, nothing but the head. And when I say it's final, you see the stress that the family goes through, because you don't see it all. The male side, they don't see it. And I remember in our church when we were looking for a venue, a place to start worship, one of our pastors, had to do the search, and he went to look for some places and brought the feedback that he's found this and that venue. So when he mentioned it, I asked him, I said, did you take into consideration the children? Did you take into consideration how safe they will be, access to toilets for the children? And he said, no, I didn't think about any of that. I just went to look for a venue. So I said, okay, now I'm going on the search with you. And finally, we found a place where, would be good for. But he said, I never thought of it. All I was thinking is getting a venue. But now I come in and I said, no, we must look out for children. We must look out for nursing mothers where, a place that will be comfortable. So this is the thing.
Yeah.
You need to, yes, we women have to be involved. Women have to be at the table. Otherwise, decisions are made for us that do not. And sometimes I find it a bit annoying when men think they can think for us. Oh, we know what you women want. No, you don't. You might have an idea, which is good, but sit us down and ask us, what do you need? That's when you hear.
That's perfect. Working together, because they have their value. Men have their value. We cannot discuss that. They have, as we do. So
yes,
we just work together. I mean, we see all the sides of the things, or most not side. This is perfect. Another thing I wanted to ask you, going back to the Imago Dei. I will repeat that I don't have a religion, so my question comes from curiosity. Okay. When we say we human beings are made to the image of God and not the other creations, because God created everything, right? Everything that is on the planet was created by God. I mean, in the universe, but let's stick to the planet. So everything that was created here on this planet was created by God. And then we humans say, based on inspirations or God's words, you'd say, that we are made to the image of God. Does that make us superior to all other creatures and everything else? Somehow superior?
Absolutely. In fact, in Genesis, it talks about God, he made the animals, he made all the things, and then he made man. So man was the last of the creation, and he put man in charge of the garden, and he asked man to even name the animals, like give them names, and then he asked man to tend the garden, like work the garden. So every other thing in creation was brought under man. So God gave man absolute control over creation, and man was to care for it, not destroy it. Man was to care, give it the love, the tender care that creation needed was to come from man.
But that doesn't make us superior. Talking about the head again, the head of the family. So there is husband, wife, 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And then we talked about this before, that the man is the head of the family, but he's not superior to the wife or to the children. So going to the creation, animals and plants and the land itself, the soil, the rivers, everything on the planet, we humans would be the head, but not superior.
If you, well, first I need to know what you mean by superior in the sense.
Superior,
Because
I mean, we have not power over, but superior in value. I mean, superior in value. We value more than.
according to scripture, I think we do, but we didn't make them. So we are custodians of creation. We didn't make creation. God created everything and put us in charge. So we are custodians, and he gave us power over animals, over plants, over rivers, over everything. He gave us the power over it, but we didn't create it. I hope you understand it. So in that sense, we are not the creator. In fact, we are part of creation, but God has lifted us because he made us in his image. He's lifted us above creation. So he's given us control. I think this is how I would define the superiority of man.
Okay, I understand. And this control, like you said before, would be caring for, control in the sense that organization and this making sure everything stays okay. And that's not what we're doing, right?
No, they're doing something different.
Yeah. We don't have a very long time. We're coming to almost.
So I just,
yeah.
What I said, is it okay if I read a scripture? Is it okay?
What you say it again?
I was asking if it's okay if just the superiority thing, if I read what scripture says.
Okay, please. Yes. Okay, please. Yeah. Do it.
Then chapter 1, verse 28, it says, then God blessed them and said, this is man and woman. God blessed them. Okay, let me start from 27. Okay. 27 says, God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it, reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food. 30, and I have given you every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life. And that is what happened. Then God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. And evening passed, and morning came, marking the sixth day.
That's beautiful. I think this. Yes. I haven't read the Bible, like I haven't read the Bible as a book, like reading all through it, but I've read quite a few passages, and this one is beautiful.
Yes,
it's really beautiful.
Like reading, so try it. Just read Genesis. Maybe give yourself that challenge and say, okay, I'm gonna read Genesis and see what's in there. Try it, Maria.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good challenge. Okay, so before we finish, just one final thing. We know, our history, human history, everything that we have these ups and downs. This is all humanity has gone through this in all the senses, politically, religious, and socially. We have ups and downs. This is our history. And at this moment, there are countries that are going up and many countries that are going down in many senses. What is your two things I want to ask you? If you're hopeful about the future for your children, you have two children, right? Two girls?
3. I have 2 boys.
2 boys.
Yes, 2 boys and a girl.
And a girl. Okay. So do you view a good future for your children, including your girl child and your grandchildren? Do you have hopes for the future is one question. And another question, what would you suggest? What things can we do to make it better, to have a better world?
So if you ask me if I have hope, absolutely, I do. Because I'm part of creating that hope. I work with these girls. For most of them, they don't have any hope. Some of them even don't see how their lives will progress after the basic level of education. You should see how these girls, after we've supported them to go to secondary school, that's the next level of education. You should see the change. You see them, they're totally different girls, how they comport themselves, how they even dress. They come back for holidays. Now, most of them are back for holidays. I see them and I'm amazed. I see them and I have these smiles because I see how their lives are changing for good if they keep on that same track, unless they deviate. But if they keep on, I see hope, and not just in them, but they're also being able to give their children hope. So I'm part of it. So I see there's hope for the girl child. There's hope if we all keep on. If we don't and we stop, then there's no hope. But once we keep working, yes, there's hope. And we need to keep doing it. If you ask me what we can do to make it better, one, we should uphold excellence. All of us, everyone, in whichever way that we can. Anything that we find ourselves doing, let's uphold excellence. If it's in supporting the girls, let's do it with excellence. If it's in supporting boys, let's do it with excellence. If it's in working in government, let's do it. If we do that, then there's hope for the world. And also respect for all humanity. It doesn't matter whether the person is poor or rich or young or old, knowledgeable, not knowledgeable. We should respect all humanity. With that, there'll be a lot of hope because there's respect for all. Nobody's left behind. And that in itself will even encourage everyone. If you're down there and you know that, look, there's more that is demanded of you, you push yourself to it. I mean, we might, even if we start at the same time, we might not get to the end goal at the same time because we are running at, different paces. We've got our own journey. Everybody has his or her own individual journey that they embarked on, and we all complete differently, but let's keep at it. Let's keep on the journey. Let's not look back. Let's not stop. Let's just keep going. If we keep going, I know definitely we will end at where we want to end at.
That's beautifully said. This is very nice. Wow. I knew it was going to be nice. I had expectations. I always have expectations. I try not to have expectations so I don't get frustrated. But on this podcast, all the talks I've had until now, they've surpassed my expectations. I'm very, very happy. Thank you very much, Gloria, for being with us. So it's Gloria from Accra, right? You live in Accra?
Yes, I live in Accra.
You live in Accra, Ghana. And you're the first one that I am talking with not from outside the country, because I've spoken to girls from Mozambique. So outside our language, it's our first experiment. I'm very, very grateful that you came. Thank you very, very much.
I'm also grateful to be here. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much. And see you soon. Maybe we find there will be around 53. I think it's 53 podcasts. So I'll call you again for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Bye. Thank you. Bye.